Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Ryan, I have cerebral palsy and I've used a walker my entire life. Today we're going to talk about the worst part about having a disability, and it's not something physical. One of the most common questions I get having a disability is, do you work? I think it's a really interesting question that's worth dissecting because it's not the question itself. For example, in normal conversation, if you're just out in the world, people will ask you stuff like, what do you do? You know, that's sort of the default question that you ask strangers when you're trying to talk to them for the first time. But when you have a disability, the question that I get is, do you work? It's the underlying set of assumptions that comes with that question. Because what they're really asking isn't what do you do for a living? They're asking, are you dependent? Do you rely on government assistance? Do you have ambitions? I totally understand where they're coming from. In fact, I don't actually blame them for thinking like that. It's because if you zoom out and you look at the broader narrative around disability, a lot of what you see online or just the discourse around disability, it's really framed around a victimhood mentality. It's always been a weird question for me when someone asks me, do you work? Because I've been supporting myself financially since I was 20 years old. I've been self-employed now for a decade. I had to learn how to make money on my own without relying on an employer. And so all of this has made me realize that the hardest part about having a disability isn't the physical stuff. It's that there's this pre-existing mental model that people with disabilities have surrendered their autonomy. It's an especially hard place to be when you don't subscribe to that script. Anybody with a disability that has any sort of ambition, you're kind of on your own. You are an outsider. And so when you're an outsider, naturally, it's a lonely place to be. And in this context, it's more of an existential loneliness. You don't even necessarily know if you relate to a lot of people that have disabilities because they don't necessarily even share your ambitions. And the thing is, I totally understand the victim mentality. And in fact, it's a very seductive worldview. It doesn't do you any good to have a victim mentality, even if you are a victim, because the world is a weird place. You kind of get what you give in this world. If you go around thinking that you're a victim, the world is going to treat you that way. And if you go around and do the opposite, and you believe that you have autonomy and that you can accomplish things that you want to accomplish, then you will do that. It's not self-serving to have a victim mentality. And to be honest, most of the people that I know that have a victim mentality, these people they become bitter and resentful because it's such a corrosive lens to see the world through. And it's such a corrosive lens to see yourself through. So even if you have a disability, so long as you have your cognitive faculties, you still have to build a life worth living for.